Hey, this is Robert Jackson, and thank you for tuning in to Station Square on Halloween, which probably unintentional, but just wanted something to celebrate, just all the spookiness going about, and yeah, just a little fun little, activity to do during right before it gets dark and, the real spookiness begins, where the chills and goes, but all that's jazz. But today, I guess to celebrate the occasion, we have somebody who is you've seen them in so many different anime, video games, like they were in Pokemon. They recently just booked they were in other video games that I don't think we can really discuss due to the current strike. But uh, yeah, but you've probably seen them around. They also coach, they direct. So this is Brittany Cox. Thank you so much for joining me on this lovely Thursday afternoon.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much for having me. And ooh, spooky season. I love it. It's been nice because finally feels like a fall day in Los Angeles. So I get to wear my fall stuff. So it feels all nice and cozy.
Yeah, yeah, because I know that in the last couple of months, it has just been humid, like extremely hot, man.
Hot. Yeah. It's like, whoo, I'm ready for the fall coziness. So we get it a little bit this week, which is nice.
I know, yeah. But yeah, I'm so glad that you're here today and we'll just discuss about anything that kind of comes to mind, really, because it's just going to be like we're just going to keep it chill, just spontaneous. You know how it goes.
Oh, I love that. Well, I'm so excited to be here and yeah, I'm ready. Woo, let's do
Yeah,
it.
let us go. So I think I kind of know a little bit about how you got started, but for those that are curious, like you, and I typically ask this, right at the beginning, but you've also had a little bit of a stage and theater background. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that and how I was able, the stage that you're up. Sorry, like the experience of being up on the stage. God, can you tell? I can
Hey,
read, I can talk. Yeah.
it's the ghost. Somebody has like haunted you, so it's fine.
Exactly. Yeah. So the experience being up on stage really
Yeah.
was instrumental in your career as a voiceover artist and entrepreneur.
Yeah, no, it totally was. So I got started doing theater really, I dabbled in it in, going to school and all that stuff. But when I graduated college, I lived in North Carolina and I moved to Seattle. And I was like, I love theater. Like maybe I'll audition and do all this stuff. So I auditioned and did a bunch of plays while I was up there, lots of comedies and lots of dramas. And I really, that's where I really cut my teeth and got learned so much about acting and acting in different ways and different mediums, and really learning what it is to embody a character. And then it's so funny. I fell into voice acting. Like I didn't know it was a job. I loved cartoons. My brother and I used to play video games growing up together, but I never thought, oh, all those people are actors who are doing these voices. And so my now husband, he was working at a recording studio and I brought him lunch and the person running the studio was like, oh, you're an actor, right? I need a girl to come in and say this line for this like Mariners commercial. And I was like, okay. So I jumped in and I think the line was something like, Dad, stop streaking or something like that. And I come out of the booth and they were like, oh, you're not bad at this. I was like, oh, what? Okay. And so then I got really curious about voiceover and started auditioning, started learning everything that I could. And my first video game, which I've talked about in other interviews and stuff, but is not anywhere online that I know of. Do you remember when the Switch first came out? There was that game called the 1-2 Switch.
Yes, I do.
So I voiced the female characters in that. So I'm the one who's like, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And I did a bunch of stuff for that. So that was my first video game. And I was like, oh, this is so much better than commercials. Let's go. And I mean, the rest is history from there. Since then, it's become my full-time job since moving to California and Los Angeles. And, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, and speaking of which, like, I know you mentioned the Nintendo stuff because you've been booking like a lot of different games from Nintendo, and it's kind of crazy how that one little thing. And I think I kind of sort of vaguely remember how the audition process went for that game, like the
Yeah.
1-2 Arms. But yeah, was it kind of? Would you say that it came after you started getting you were doing like a lot of plays and stuff? Like, how did that come to be?
Yeah, so when I was doing all the plays and stuff and started getting interesting in more voiceover and doing all of that, I had an agent. She's still my agent up in Seattle, one of them. So I had an agent who was sending me on-camera auditions because I also did on-camera commercials. So I'm in a couple of Microsoft things and Amazon and all kinds of weird stuff. Um, And so when I told her, hey, I'm interested in voiceover, can you please start sending me voiceover auditions? She sent me, I think after a couple of years of being with her, she sent me this audition for a video game. I didn't know it was for Nintendo. They didn't really say what it was. And so what they do when they send out auditions is they send out what they call sides. So it's just a couple of sample lines and they give you a description of the character. And then they say, okay, I want you to read all this stuff, record yourself reading all these lines and different energies as this character, and then we'll see what happens. And so I did that and I sent it in, and then the casting director for this game listened to all the different people who submitted and then pared it down to like 5 of us. And then we came in for a callback into the studio so that way the director could work with us and see like, oh, they take direction really well, or, oh, they really fit this character really well, just to see who perfectly fit what they were looking for. And it happened to be me this time. So, that's not always the case. Sometimes, when it comes to voice acting, you don't get a majority of the things you audition for. Like you maybe book 10% and that's a good week. So
Yeah, that is so cool because when it comes, I know I keep saying this, but for the 1-2 Arms, would you say that that was also kind of like it was kind of the beginning of you just, figuring out the business of voiceover and then getting to record for all these other Nintendo properties?
yeah. And so it really, I learned a lot in that session, and I learned what to do and how these sessions run and how to work off a director in that way. And then a few years later, when I moved to Los Angeles, I got an audition in person for Fire Emblem. We got to go in person for that first audition, and so I kind of already knew their vibe and everything. And yeah, they had me read for a bunch of characters, and then they were like, hey, so we love you for Ingrid, come on in. Honestly, when I got it, I thought Ingrid was a small character because I had never voiced a big character before. And then I realized, oh, Ingrid's in this whole game. And then there are more games. Oh my gosh. So that was very exciting.
Yeah, because it's kind of like when you honestly booked Ingrid for Fire Emblem, like how would you say that the reception and especially with the community, because you've been invited to a couple of conventions, like there was Emblem Con that is on Twitch that they do every year, and then just being just honored to just do all this stuff for the community after you booked Ingrid.
Yeah, it's been so great. I had never been to a convention before. And when Ingrid came out and then, other games that I was in came out, it was right before and then during COVID. And so a lot of conventions weren't running and stuff. And so when I started getting invited to conventions, it was so exciting because it was like, oh, I can finally like see what people think and how they feel about the character and the games. And it's been so cool. Everyone's been so kind and it's been great to meet everybody. I mean, the fandom is fantastic. And it's allowed me to go to some pretty cool places. Like I got to go to the UK for the first time for a convention, and so that was really fun. So I love doing it and hoping to do it a little bit more. But it's been great to meet everybody.
Yeah, amen to that. Because when you really go to a con and then getting to see so many different fans,
Yeah.
it's just kind of like I was just talking with somebody else who was I think they were in another video game that I'll mention in just a little bit, but it was their first time being at a convention and the amount of fans that came up just to their table, signing stuff and just telling them how much they mean to how this character that you played really means to them. It's just kind of
Yeah.
like, it's a very special type of heartwarming that is like, you know, it just gives you that really cozy feeling inside. You know what I mean? Just seeing
Oh,
somebody just be so
100%.
dedicated to something that you voiced and it inspires them. It's like, wow.
No, it's so cool. I mean, there's been so many wonderful stories. Like I always love meeting everybody because everybody has a different
Yeah.
relationship to a game or a character, but there have been so many heartwarming stories of like some people are like, this got me through COVID. This got me through a surgery. This game and this character really connected with me on a deep emotional level, and it meant so much to me, and it helped me through something. And that always just is so wonderful to hear. And I love it that people connect with these stories so deeply, and that it allows them to feel seen and allows them to connect, in a different way. It just that's why I love acting is connection.
Yeah. So when it comes to acting, because you have that experience of just being up on the stage and doing theater and you're carrying over those skills into a microphone, would you say that there's like did it take a while for you to really start learning I guess, the ropes of VO, or did it just kind of come naturally?
It was a little bit of both. Acting wise, that came pretty easy because it's like, coming from the stage, you have to make sure when you're acting and performing that the people in the back row can understand what you're saying and feel what you're saying. And as a human, I'm a very physical actor. As you can see, I talk with my hands a lot, which
Same.
yeah, and which helps with VO. The more physical you can be, the more it comes across in your voice. And so that was a huge asset in which I didn't realize, but that made the transition super easy. What was challenging was, I was used to projecting and talking to the back of the audience, and they're like, Brittany, the microphone's right here. You don't have to talk that loud. It's fine. It's fine. So that was a big challenge. And then also the imagination that's required for voice acting. When you're on stage, you're in a costume. You're talking to other people, other characters. There's a set. You can pick up props and interact with things. When you say a joke, the audience laughs. So you have things around you that you can interact with and respond to. When you're in a booth by yourself, there's nothing. You're just wearing what you wore to the studio that day. And if I'm playing a warrior, I don't have a spear or a sword in my hand. So learning the imagination aspect of voiceover acting took a little bit for me to be like, oh, I have to imagine all these things for myself and then perform it. It's not just given to me.
Exactly. And as somebody who also came from like improv kind of Meisner trained mindset, it's kind of
Yeah.
like learning where you are and who's your scene partner. And I mean, I kind of take a lot of cues from, I think, Crispin Freeman and Richard Horvitz, they
Yeah.
both do excellent workshops. And a lot of this, techniques and acting, I just kind of learned from them, and also just having fun, first and foremost.
Absolutely. If you're not having fun, even doing the hard stuff, the gut wrenching, like sad stuff, dramatic stuff, it's still fun. It's Still fun.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've been doing like a lot of animated shows. Like just
Hmm.
recently, you've done Rainbow High,
Yeah.
Descendants for Disney, Pokemon Journeys,
Yeah.
and yeah, I know I'm gonna talk about Pokemon for a little bit here,
Sure.
because I wish I had my little Detective Pikachu shirt, but this will be the
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, it just hit dawn on me. But anyways, yeah, for Pokemon, like that was also something else that you've booked where you voiced Sonia, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, Sonia.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for Sonia. So yeah, getting to be in the Pokemon franchise.
Hmm. Crazy.
Just how is it?
Crazy. I mean, I grew up watching the show. Like that was my first real introduction to anime. Between that and like Cowboy Bebop and Sailor Moon and stuff. But I didn't even realize
Yeah.
Pokemon was an anime. Like as a kid, I was like, oh, it's just a cartoon. Um, so it was crazy. I mean, I remember the audition because it was before COVID, and I got an email and they were like, hey, we want you to come in and audition for this project. We can't tell you what it is. We can't send you sides. Just show up at this place. And I was like, okay, because that happens sometimes. It's Hollywood, who knows? So I show up, and they had me in the studio, and they were like, "Hey, so there's this kid who has a bunch of like, we'll call them spirit animals that are running around the world. They're little creatures that we interact with." And I was like, "Is this Pokemon?" And they were like, and I was like, oh my God. And so that was for the beginning of the season. So they were auditioning actors for the whole season to try and see what you can do, how you work with the director. And I didn't book those characters, but a couple of months later, after hearing nothing, they emailed me and they were like, hey, we want you to come do Sonia. And I was like, that's so exciting. So it's been really great. I love Sonia. She's so cool, and all the hearts and stuff. So yeah, it's been a fun property to be a part of.
Yeah, and actually, I want to show you this little guy that I got
Look,
right here. Yeah.
Pikachu!
Oh yeah. I got this from Vegas. I think this from Las
Cute.
Vegas. So yeah, I'm gonna go again for Thanksgiving later
I
this month.
love it.
Yeah. But I just wanted to bring this little guy in here because he's been kind of pestering me to be on the camera here.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, so I also grew up with Pokemon. Like I got a lot of signatures behind me. I do have one from the original cast that I met a few years ago, and
Yeah.
and I also kind of am doing like a series of interviews with people that have worked on Pokemon, and yeah, also as a way to give like a little bit of mini tribute to Rachel, who we've yeah
Yeah.
kind of unfortunately lost a few months ago, but it's just kind of as a tribute to her. So,
I
yeah, this
love
is something that I
that.
wanted to do just to, say how much Pokemon meant to me and so many others, and to, yeah, say thank you to the original cast, you know?
I know, and everyone's so sweet. I never got to meet her, but I know a lot of people who know her, and I love her work, obviously. And you know, um, the original Ash, Veronica Taylor, love, love, love,
Awesome.
love. She's
Yeah.
great, and Sarah, who was the next Ash, love her. So like, it's such a the Poke family is so close knit and so wonderful. So everyone's great.
They really are, man.
Yeah.
But speaking of video games, I don't know if we can discuss this too much. I don't know if it's technically okay, but I mean Genshin, you voice Fischl? Is that
Mm-hmm. Official. Yeah.
yeah, so the Genshin, let's talk a little bit about that.
Sure. Yeah. What would you like to know?
Just pretty much not everything, but it's more like was the overall like, being in Genshin was like another wild type of circumstance, and then it just quickly blew up to be like this phenomenon that we kind of know today. So
Yeah.
yeah, just talk about Genshin for a little bit, and yeah,
Yeah,
just
yeah. I
getting to
mean,
play her.
I got pulled in for when Genshin first started auditioning for their English cast. I remember it was in studio, and I was a friend of the director, and He had me read for a bunch of characters, none of which I booked. But we got to see all the artwork, and we were all like, wow, this is a beautiful game. How cool. And they were like, yeah, I think it's going to be big. We'll see. It'll be a beautiful game. I don't think any of us knew how big it was going to be. I'm still blown away. And then COVID happened, and one of the first characters auditions that I got for it for another round of characters was for Fischl. And I didn't know she spoke German at the time. It was not in the sides. So I auditioned and I got her, and we get into the session, and they were like, because when I had auditioned for her, I auditioned, her voice was kind of closer to mine. And they were like, so we want her younger, and she's going to speak a lot of words in German. Good luck. And I was like, oh, okay. And then.
Gotcha.
Yep. That first session, I cried afterwards because it was so hard because her lines are so long, like they're monologues. And so if I messed up her name or messed up the German, I'd have to start over. And so I remember there was like one line. It took me like an hour because we were trying to figure out, because I don't speak German. And so they had somebody on the line who was like, here's how you say it. Let's practice it. So I'd be okay. I think I got it. And then we start talking and I'd mess it up. So it was just like, it's horrible. But I've done it enough. So now the German's pretty easy peasy and we're all good. So, but it's been so great I love Fischl. Like, voicing her has been so much fun, and I love her so much.
Yeah, like I said, that was another one alongside Fire Emblem that just started blowing up out of nowhere. Like,
Yeah.
when it comes to, COVID and the pandemic, like, there's a couple of games that really started popping off. It was Among Us, Animal Crossing, and of course Genshin and Fire Emblem
Yeah.
because, yeah.
Yeah, and it
Oh
was
my God.
crazy. I mean, right after, when things started opening back up, that's when all the conventions came because Genshin was so huge and everybody wanted to like meet the cast, and because we'd all been, you know, inside for so long. So,
Yeah. So I gotta ask, like when everybody was kind of like indoors and because I know everybody had to like kind of figure out like what were we gonna do during the course of COVID, like did it kind of get to the place where it's like, oh my God, like I miss being in a studio and remote. How was it
yes,
like for you?
even before COVID, I already had a home studio and all that stuff. Because I had clients that were not in LA, and worked on some projects in other places. So I already had a home studio, so that was easy. Like I didn't have to go through the panic of like, what do I do? We got to set up a home studio. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Um,
Yes.
and so that didn't change much, and recording was a lot. I think the summer of COVID, because it started in like March, like early spring, late winter, when everything shut down in LA. In the summer, when it was July, August, I had a video game session for something, and it was 4 hours, and it was 106 degrees in the valley where I lived, and that apartment did not have central air. And so I had a 4-hour fighting session, and I was just sweating. Like, and in the background, you could hear my dog panting in the other room. It was
Oh
so hot.
no.
And I was like, I'm ready to be in studio. I'm done with this. I don't need this
Hmm.
anymore. So I'm happy. I'm happy to do both. It is nice. Now I'm in a place that has air conditioning. But it is nice to do a little bit of both because, I don't always have to sit in traffic, or I can connect with, I work with a bunch of studios in the UK, and in France. And so I get to connect with so many different people, but I can also go in studio. So it's a nice hybrid approach for me.
Yeah. And now let's talk about another big one,
Mm.
Nancy Drew, which
Oh
I
yeah.
is that's kind of inevitable. So real
Oh
quick, I also want to give a shout out to Susie from Susie Should Be Sleeping. Yeah, with
yeah.
her wonderful podcast that y'all did, and yeah, just doing Nancy Drew. Just would you say that it was one of your biggest highlights so far for you?
Oh, it's definitely up there for sure. I love Nancy Drew. I've read the book since I was a kid. I've played a couple of the games. Nancy Drew has always kind of been in my sphere. So being able to bring a voice to her in this new iteration has been incredible. And I mean, I got to hang out with Kennedy McMahon, who is Nancy Drew in the CW show. So I got to meet her and connect with her. And so it's such the Nancy Drew family is so wonderful and so close knit. And, I, when it comes to being a part of such a great property, it feels so special and so incredible to be a part of, for sure. You can't see it, but like right there where my finger is in the background are all my Nancy Drew books.
Yeah, it's
I
kind
have
of
quite a collection.
yeah. I mean, like I got all this stuff
Oh
behind me, but
yeah, 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 yeah.
yeah, I mean, I wouldn't move it, but
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
it's just yeah, I just got so many Sonic stuff because just gotta have,
Yeah,
just gotta love the blue blur. You know what I'm saying?
sure.
Yeah. Let me see. So after Nancy Drew, and because the amount of press that the games have been receiving has also been kind of insane, which is
Mm.
literally everything that you kind of work on is bound to have like a fan base or so.
Yeah, I've been very lucky to be a part of some very cool properties that people like or have strong feelings about one way or another. Um, but it feels very special to be a part of that stuff, and I feel so incredibly lucky.
Yeah. Real quick, I just want to wish you congrats for being nominated for the Best VO Performance for
Mm,
the Crunchyroll Anime Awards and also being the
thanks.
promo voice for Max, which is
That was
very amazing.
crazy.
Yeah,
That was such a big surprise, and like I got to do it for a month, and I was like, more please, this is great. So thank you.
of course, of course. Yeah, I think since we're kind of almost running out of time here, I wanted to talk a little bit about, but I'll always just do like a follow-up in the future. But this is something that I kind of would also like to discuss more in depth about. Your studio, Next Level Demos, and also Zoey's Mythical Menagerie.
Menagerie.
Yeah, two of those, we'll
Yeah.
probably save those for like, we'll go more in depth about in the next part. But yeah, we could just talk a little bit about those two before.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's a great question. So, for the past, I guess it's been almost 11 years now. Ryan, my husband, and I, we have had next level voice demos where we direct and produce demos for voice actors, which has been great. I mean, we work with actors of all shape and size, like people who are getting into it for the first time and trying it out for the first time. We're now working with VTubers who want to transition their VTubing into doing more character work and doing more video games and animation. Like that's been a huge thing right now. And then we're also working with some incredible voice actors who are already in the industry and working. A few of them I'm sure you and your listeners will recognize. And so that's been very exciting to work with all different kinds of actors and help them have demos that propel the next part of their career and open up doors for them. And so that's been really fun. And then Zoe's Mythical Menagerie started because we were working with a friend and during COVID, we were pitching shows at Disney and Cartoon Network and all those places. And so after talking with those executives and stuff, I realized, you know what, we should create our own show. And I'm not an animator, and that's very expensive. So we were like, we'll do a narrative podcast. And that was incredible. Our cast is insane. I mean, I got to voice direct Caitlin Robrock, who's the voice of Minnie Mouse, Kellen Goff, who's in everything, and a dear friend.
Amazing.
Like, I love him so much. And, our and I got to voice Zoe. And so that was incredible. And we ended up winning a few awards. You know, we're up there with Sesame Street and Michelle Obama. So, you know, I'll take it, uh, which was pretty cool. So yeah, it was great. Which, you know, and that show, directing that show, propelled me into directing some more stuff. So I'm now directing some video games, and it's just been wonderful.
Awesome. Yeah, we'd like to see more directing stuff
Mhm.
from you in the
Thanks,
future.
thanks, and yeah, hopefully more fun voiceover roles that I'll be able to announce in the near future. So that'll be cool.
Yeah. See what you're doing. But yeah, for the, I know we're kind of like also in this crazy time where we gotta vote for who's gonna be our president for the next 4 years. So,
Mhm.
but I also wanted to specifically bring it up because Nerds Vote is also like a really great, you know, community where, we
Yeah.
just, there's a bunch of nerds that are in the union, SAG, and just telling us to vote for making a change for, making it stand for what's right. So
Yeah.
tell us a little about, Nerds Vote.
Yeah,
You want
Nerds
to
Vote
give me
is
an intro?
Courtney Taylor, who I'm sure a lot of you know about. Um, Prolific voice actor. She started Nerds Vote with JP Carlack, and it's a great way to get the word out about like registering to vote. Kind of like how when Taylor Swift came out this year and was like, everybody needs to register to vote. And so many people did. It's just encouraging young people to get active in their communities and to be a part of politics, like not waiting for things to happen and then complaining about it. It's like be a little more active and let's all vote. I used to not know anything. I didn't even vote when I first was able to. And now I think it's really important, especially when, we're discussing really big, really life-changing issues. So, get the vote out, man. Register.
Here, here. And also, Beyblade is kind of something that I've been watching as of late, so I just want to also wish you congrats on that. Just throwing
Oh,
that out
thank
there.
you. Yeah, Ilya Mao. She was great. One of their first, I don't know if she's the first or one of the first actual bladers. So that was really cool to do.
Yeah, and seriously, so much stuff that we kind of grew up with, and then getting to voice in a lot of them, it's kind of surreal. You know what I'm
It
saying?
is it is very cool. I'm very thankful for my job for sure.
Yeah. So conventions, yeah, you've been doing a lot of them. You've been doing Anime Impulse
Yeah.
and, Anime Expo and all this different stuff that is here, like in Los Angeles and even in your hometown and all over the world. So the convention experience, I know we kind of talked a little bit about this like
Yeah.
earlier, but yeah, what would you say is kind of like your favorite part of getting to do these in general?
Oh, I love going to conventions. I love being able to meet fans and meet people who are really into, whatever the game or anime or whatever it is. That's always super fun. And it's a way for me to hang out with fellow voice actors who, like, I haven't ever, maybe never met in person, or like we haven't seen each other in a while because voiceover is very solitary. So it's cool. So it's like we get like to go hang out somewhere for a weekend and just be people and, catch up. So it's great. But I mean, I love chatting with the fans and seeing what people are into and seeing all the artwork and stuff and how creative people get. So, I don't have a ton coming up, but hoping for more. So, if anybody wants to request me at their local con, I'm around.
Yeah, and before I go, I wanted to show something else real quick.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if you've seen this, but you remember the
Oh,
artist?
yes, I
Yeah,
do.
yeah,
I've seen that.
yeah, this was the artist that you've actually worked with for your website,
Hmm.
Punchin' Pandas.
Nolan, Punching
Yeah,
Pandas. I love
yeah,
him.
I think I got a sticker like somewhere, if you notice, like right over there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. He's great. Oh, he's such a talented artist.
Yeah, and I got a little creeper because, Halloween just
Perfect.
why not? So he's my little booth buddy.
Well, booth buddy, it's important to have those.
Yeah, so I just decided to do that because I think it was your birthday, so I just want to do something special with like Star Wars and the
Well, that's very
yeah.
sweet. Yeah, I remember seeing that. It's very cool.
Yeah, and I just wanted if I eventually see you at a convention, signing.
Oh yeah,
Who
absolutely,
knows?
man.
But
Uh,
speaking, oh, sorry, you
oh
go.
no, go ahead.
But I think we're kind of like approaching the end. Is there something else that you wanted to talk about? Like share any upcoming, that is not under NDA, but at least any upcoming appearances that you're going to be doing and yeah, all that
Uh,
good jazz?
yeah, so my next appearance will be in a couple of weeks. I'll be at Anime Expo Chibi in Southern California. I think it's Ontario, California. So that'll be really fun. So that's my next one. And yeah, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. This has been so much fun and it's been great and I'm really rooting for your success and all that stuff. You've been chatting with some lovely people, so I'm honored to be included in and amongst them. So,
Yeah, and also shout out to Lee, who I don't know if he's gonna see this in the future, but yeah, I've also had him on the show like years ago. But Lee Joel
oh,
Scott, you're awesome. Yeah.
oh my gosh, hi Lee.
Yeah. I was like
Shout out
when
to
you
Lee.
when I said Lee, I was like no, it's Lee Joel Scott for Zoe. So
Yeah, no,
yeah.
Lee Joel Scott, famous actor, his full
Yeah,
name.
famous actor. Yes. Um, is there anything that you'd like to close out with as a character or just yourself, just for this episode?
Hmm. Thank you, Robert. The princess very much appreciates you.
Thank you. And with that, folks, thank you so much for watching and stay tuned next time on Station Square. Who knows? If you want to see a follow up in the future, let me know. If you want to see Brittany back or a cast, or if we want to talk about demos and do more in depth discussions, we'll just figure it out. But until then, thank you so much, and I'll see y'all next time. And happy Halloween, foolish mortals.
Woo!
Thank you.
Bye.